how to take seconds.
I want to call this meeting to order. It's already running a little late. The first item on the agenda is General Manager's report.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, run over time a little bit, so I've got a few items here. We do have our Texas Public Power Association, and you do have the handouts in front of you, our annual meeting in San Antonio, July 25th through the 27th, and then the American Public Power Conference in June 19th through the 22nd in Anaheim, California. Particularly the state conference, it'd be good if we could have a couple of board members attend that, and then anyone that would like to attend the national conference, usually a good, worth the trip. We have a holiday this month, Monday the 30th for Memorial Day, and we'll be closed. We do go to arbitration 19th and 20th the next week on the Golden Spread, PUB, OMPA, and AEP lawsuit, and we're going to try to, or it's actually mediation this week, next week, hopefully try to resolve that before going to trial in July.
Where's that?
In Dallas. It's a Friday, probably Friday, Saturday, and we hope we can get that resolved prior to going to trial so we can get some use of that plant this summer. We do have, we did locate 3 utility systems in Florida to go to, Orlando, Kissimmee, and Lakeland. This is a map where they're located. That's that around. And they were devastated by the hurricanes last year. They've agreed to meet with us, and we're trying to do that. It could be this month, possibly next month. Hopefully get a good indication of what we need to do. Another handout I had is the South Central Desal Association. We do, that's an organization that we've started having the largest desal plant in Texas. I'm the president of that organization. We're going to have a conference in July 21st and 22nd in San Antonio. The objective of that association is really from Texas to California along the coast, and we will promote technology, training, education, certification. Be good to have someone there at that if we could. Southmost Regional Water Authority, for the month of April, we've produced about 122 million gallons per day. Over that period, 107 million of that went to Brownsville. That should increase as the summer goes along. Before the financial report, if any of you have seen this magazine publication, Rio Grande Valley Women.
Who's that?
She looks familiar.
One of our employees made the front cover of that. Pass these around. Gomez.
Little Friedman?
She was recognized as.
Is she in the audience?
Yeah.
Can I have your autograph?
There's a centerfold in there that.
Centerfold?
I mean, centerfold. She'd be happy to autograph.
Oh, wow.
That's what she told me.
There's a centerfold. That's your
Be
right.
sure to collect the fee.
Actually, it's a very nice article, and
Very nice picture,
congratulate
too. Very nice
Peggy on getting that award. So, with that, I'll ask Eddie Comparano to go over the financial report tonight.
Eddie, she's prettier than you.
I'm not going to argue that point, Mr. Bonner. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, okay. First and foremost, you all have received your monthly report in your packages. I will only touch on the financials for the month of August. As you can see by the combined utility statement, We've had total revenues to date of $56,813,000 plus dollars. As compared to budget, we're still running a little bit below. You can see fuel costs are up ahead of budget and as well as ahead of last year. If you will go down to the net sales margin, that is a good indicator. You will see on net sales margin that we are ahead of the projected budget and well ahead of where we were this same time last year. Again, an indication that this year we are faring better in terms of monthly revenue and sales as compared to month-to-month comparisons from fiscal year 2004. O&M expenses, comparing those to budget, we are under $1 million under O&M expenses. Again, staff has been watching the budgets, looking at line items. Obviously, a big part of that is staff. We have not filled positions for, in some cases, for throughout the fiscal year, so that does have an impact on O&M expenses. If you look through and look at the comparisons for on down the line, PUB improvement account, as you can see on line, which would be 1B, the PUB improvement account, again, much better this fiscal year as compared to same time next fiscal year. Pretty close to making budget for the fiscal year. What we will see is as we get into summer, if things do not change, you will see, hopefully we'll see an accelerated position on being able to track with fiscal year. We're getting into the heavy revenue months. We're starting to experience some hot weather, and so you can see that for the improvement fund, that's very good. It keeps us on pace to keeping up with the necessary improvements. You can see that the total to the improvement fund for the March period is a little over $7 million. Again, not quite at budget, but significantly different than where we were this period, same time last year. And below that, you will see the cash transfer to the city. Again, while not on budget, it is significantly better than this time last year. The last quarter of our fiscal year is usually a very telling quarter in terms of revenues. And again, that's when we get, if we see the weather dry, hot summer, then you'll see quite a makeup on revenue. And of course, that will translate into the bottom numbers, certainly cash transfer to the city. Overall, total benefit and cash benefit to the city of Brownsville, a little over $3.4 million, which just track to budget for fiscal year 2004. Again, overall, we are flying much better this year as compared to last time, this time next year. And as we get into the heavy season, hopefully you will see, we're optimistic that these numbers will track perhaps better than projected on budget. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond. I will note on the check register for the month of March, I think you will note the corrections there on the check sequencing, so that was corrected for this report.
Eddie, why do you think the city of Brownsville usage went up?
The biggest contributor, again, is fuel.
Fuel,
Simply the cost of fuel. It's same thing for PUB. I mean, we're seeing it. We track the same rate for the city for PUB, which is a municipal rate, and the biggest contributor to that is simply the cost of fuel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campidano.
One last thing, I think, for the board's information, I didn't mention it, but we should be real close to hiring a chief financial officer, hopefully by the end of the month.
Couldn't come at a better time. I'll tell you that.
Can he reconcile checks?
Very good, yeah.
Let me
Some
ask,
good
is
candidates.
it somebody that, out of the Human Resources Department?
Yes.
See, that's real good. We didn't have to use a
Well, we
consultant on
haven't
that.
hired anybody yet. Let me hire somebody, then we'll, okay?
And then we'll decide.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Anything else,
Grade it,
Mr.
we'll grade
Campidano?
it.
Yeah.
Unless there's any questions.
All right.
Congratulations, Chief.
Thank you. Congratulations, Gigi. Item 2, quarterly investment activity report for period ending March 31st, 2005, pursuant to Chapter 2256-023 of the Public Funds Investment Act. Mr. Campidano.
Mr. Chairman, that presentation is going to be done by Mrs. Nora Cavazos. Mrs. Cavazos and Mr. Peter Elizondo, our comptroller, in the absence of the key positions in finance, have been handling the investments. Both are certified investment officers, so I will turn that presentation over to her.
Good evening. My name is Nora Cavazos. I work at the Finance Department, and I'll be presenting to you the quarterly investment report for the period ending March the 31st, 2005. Please turn to tab A, page 4. On page 4, we have all the PUB accounts marked in red with a detailed information such as the purchase cost, the book value, the accrued interest, the market value, and the yield for each account. At the end of this detailed reporting on page 6, we'll see that the total market value for the Brownsville PUB was $74,627,822 with a book value of $74,766,998 with a yield of 2.86. On the next page, on page 7, we have the portfolio summary graph. This graph indicates that 53.28% was invested on money markets and pool accounts, 34.99% was invested of agency securities, and 11.73% was invested in bank deposits. On page 8 are two graphs showing the mature days by percentage and the mature days by amount for each category. Here it indicates that $39.7 million was invested in pools and had a 30 days or less to mature. $26.1 million was invested in securities and had a 137 to 630 days to mature. Here also on yellow, the $8.7 million was invested in the bank deposits and had a mature dates of 30 days or less. On page 9 is the yield summary. The yield summary of all the security bank deposits in the pools in the PUB accounts. As of March the 31st, the par value for all the securities was $26,415,000. The market value was $26,109,855. The bank deposit had a market value of $8,760,806, and the money market and pool accounts had a market value of $39,757,161. On page 10, we have the quarterly market value reconciliation from January the 1st through March the 31st, indicating the beginning and the ending balance for each category. On page 11, you'll see that the beginning balance on January the 1st market value was $74,948,344, with the purchases and withdrawals throughout the quarter. So that brings the total market value as of March the 31st with $74,627,822. On page 12, we have the purchase and sale securities. On March the 21st, we purchased a Freddie Mac discount note for the amount of $4,734,096, and we had a security that matured on January the 15th for $1,200,000. This concludes the quarterly investment report for the month of March. On tab B is just for your own information, is December the 31st quarterly investment report. Do you all have any questions?
Chairman, no question, just a comment. I'd like to thank Nora and Pete both for the way they have filled in the absence of a CFO.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I may make one comment to the board. If you look at page 7 and then you compare to page 17, if you recall, one of the advisory comments was not following the adhering to the diversification of our investments. If you will look at the page 7 with the report ending March 31st, we are in compliance with that investment policy. If you want to see the difference, just look at the report on page 17, which was not in compliance at the time. And the biggest reason for that is the amount of bank deposits. While the yield on bank deposits is less than the yield in some of the other accounts. Nonetheless, we are in compliance with the investment policy, and I just wanted to point that out to the board.
So no action items, so let's go to item 3. Consideration and action on recommendation to award scholarship for Brownsville graduating high school seniors. Mr. Campidano.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if the Brownsville Public Utilities Board held its benefit golf tournament on October 30th of 2004. The purpose of the golf tournament was to raise funds for Project Share and scholarships for Brownsville graduating high school seniors. The proceeds from the golf tournament approximated $43,000. A portion of the proceeds will be used for scholarships. The remainder of the proceeds will be used for Project Share. We have a recommendation to present to the board on how to allocate the scholarships for 2005. One of the things I will note is that as you begin to, if you haven't already begun to receive your graduating invitations from seniors, we're obviously pretty far along in the process. So what we have to presentation or the recommendation to the board today is based on having discussed the scholarships with the schools. And keep in mind that in Brownsville you have 8 high schools now, and also Los Fresnos. There are parts of the city of Brownsville that are in the Los Fresnos ISD, and having discussed and how best to serve the students by making that award. So with more time, the board certainly could have been in a position to establish whatever criteria and application process it wanted, but given that we are here in the 11th hour, our recommendation to you to consider is one that would accomplish what the scholarship intent was to be. So with that, I'd like to read the recommendation. I would say that I've discussed it with the chairman of the committee, Mr. Valadez, and we did go back and forth, and so this recommendation is strictly for your consideration. First, recommendation would be to award a $1,000 scholarship to be awarded to a 2005 graduating senior from each of the 9 high schools in the city of Brownsville. The high schools are Hanna High School, Lopez High School, Pace High School, Porter High School, Rivera High School, St. Joseph Academy, Living Way Christian Church, Valley Christian High School, and Los Fresnos High School. For the first year, the scholarships are awarded in the name of PUB board member Raul A. Bastedo, Jr., who passed away on November 14, 2004. Recipients of the scholarships reside in a household being served by BPUB. Each school would select the PUB scholarship recipient for 2005. And lastly, that the scholarship is awarded in the name of the student, and each school must verify students' eligibility, student enrollment in an accredited college or university, and class schedule. Again, in talking to all of the representatives from the schools, at this time, most of the kids are already in their process of having made their applications accepted. And in the fairness due to time, we would propose that you keep it very simple this year.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to mention that Mr. Campirano worked very hard on this. I mean, he spoke with Mrs. Salinas, which is the head of the counseling department for the BISD, and he worked hard with her on getting other criteria for the scholarships. He also spoke with the principals of the high schools, I think, except for one. And he worked hard, and I'm comfortable with the recommendations. If the board would approve them, I mean, this is for the first year. And like he said, we're so far along, the kids are about to graduate, and this will facilitate them getting the funds for their college. And maybe next year we can get together and build a criteria that the board, as a consensus, can agree on. But for this year and this year only, if we can let go with the recommendations.
Are you making a motion?
Yes, that would be my motion.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And I think, Chris, the idea of naming it after Mr. B would be appropriate. That should be, I think, from this point forward. So I don't know if we can bring that up with an additional item. If it's one
That would be a consideration for the board perhaps for the future. One comment, because I know the staff will call me to the carpet tomorrow, but also some of the staff did gather some of the information. It was, well, the most recent conversations were held by me, but certainly Sylvia Cancino.
That's
our
already told me when
education
he said that he did all the
and so
work.
forth. But if I don't mention that, they will certainly mention it to me. So I'd like to thank Lucy and her staff as well.
I also want to point out, not only that you worked hard on it and the rest of the team participated, but this was the brainchild of the chairman, Chris Valadez, is my understanding. And I think people should remember that we have a board member who took the time to come up with an idea that would serve the community on behalf of PUB. And perhaps, because people will forget with time, perhaps it'd be nice if PUB did a little plaque. He doesn't even know what I'm going to say right now, with his recognition that he founded this scholarship to help children.
Anything else, Mr. Campirano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Is that a
you.
motion?
Item 4,
We'll do something.
consideration approval for the annual supply of powdered activated carbon. Ms. Gomez.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, activated carbon is used for the absorption of surface water, taste, and odor. On December the 8th, 2003, PUB Board awarded the low bidder Central Minerals of India Atlantic, Florida, the annual supply of powder activated carbon for an estimated amount of 375,000 pounds at .279 per pound. Central Minerals has agreed to extend the existing annual contract provided that the initial bid submitted is increased by 1 cent, and this is due to increases of prices in fuel. And the bid would be now for .289% per pound. And PUB Purchasing Department has reviewed the contract and has determined that this extension and request for additional funds fall within the contract guidelines. This would make a difference of about $3,750 more per year. Based on the estimated annual usage of 375,000 pounds and the cost per pound of .289 cents, the estimated cost for the chemical is $108,375, and the term of the contract is from May 2005 through April of 2006. And staff recommends extending the current contract with Central Minerals of India Atlantic, Florida, for an additional annual supply of activated carbon at an adjusted price of .289 cents per pound, and a total contract amount not to exceed of $108,375.
Also move.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item here, consideration approval for the annual supply of anhydrous ammonia. Ms. Gomez.
This is a similar situation, but this chemical in combination with chlorine forms chloramines, which are used to disinfect the water in the plant treatment process and throughout the distribution system. On December the 8th, 2003, PUB Board awarded the low bidder, LaRoche Industries of Atlanta, Georgia, the annual supply of this chemical for an estimated amount of 132,000 pounds at 36 cents per pound, and the total amount used in the yearly contract was 136,274 pounds for a total cost of $49,058.64. The only difference with this chemical is that it would be the same amount per pound, which is .36 cents, but they're adding a $20 hazardous material handling fee and a fuel surcharge of $7.39 per delivery. There will be 12 deliveries, so this would make a difference of $329 per year. And based on the annual usage of 132,000 pounds and 12 estimated deliveries, the cost for the chemical is $47,849. And again, the term of the contract is from May of 2005 through April of 2006. And staff recommends extending the current contract with LaRoche Industries of Atlanta, Georgia, for an additional annual supply of anhydrous ammonia for an estimated annual usage of 132,000 pounds at a price of .36 per pound, and 12 estimated deliveries at a price of $20 hazardous material handling fee, and a fuel surcharge of $7.39 per delivery, for a total contract amount of $47,849.
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, consideration approval of construction contract award for utility adjustments at Walmart Superstore number 1000-04. Ms. Gomez.
Okay, I've discussed with you a project to reroute the wastewater from the north side to the south side in order to alleviate some of the capacity on the north side. This is part of a project that we're working on to reroute some of the sewage from lift station 41, which is in Los Ebanos between Thomas Street and Fay Street. And the project that we're talking about is behind the new Super Walmart on Boca Chica and Old Port Isabel Road. It's about 1,000 feet, and the PUB Engineering prepared construction drawings and specifications for this portion of the project. And an invitation to bid was advertised on March the 20th and the 27th. An invitation to bid was mailed out to 17 contractors, and 6 responded. And the lowest qualified bidder is Peterson Construction with a bid of $164,667. PUB staff recommends approval of awarding the utility adjustments at Walmart Superstore number 1004 to Peterson Construction in an amount not to exceed of $164,667.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Gomez. Item 7, consideration approval of scope change order for the engineering services for Phase 1 of the 69-138 kV conversion project. Mr. McCann.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. On November 10th, 2003, PUB Board approved the general manager to enter into an engineering contract with Burns & McDonnell for the conversion project Phase 1 for an amount not to exceed $589,964.55. Burns & McDonnell has provided these engineering services within schedule. They've also taken on some additional tasks that were outside of this original scope. They've come back to us and asked for $49,000. Over the last several weeks, we've negotiated that down to $15,000 and would ask that the board approve this amount.
Also move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, consideration approval of scope change order for the erection contract for the Phase 1 of the 69-138 kV conversion project. Mr. McCann.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. On July 12, 2004, PUB Board approved the general manager to award the substation erection contract for the conversion project to Ernest P. Bro Electrical, Inc. from New Iberia, Louisiana, for an amount not to exceed $1,768,000. EP Bro is concluding their erection services. They should be done next month. Excuse me. I've got a pocket full of them. These additional units were underestimated by Burns & McDonnell at the time of the bid. It is very difficult to comprehend everything that's going to be going on over the next 12 to 18 months. Based upon the unit cost, the additional cost to PUB is $212,531.88 over the original contract amount. Attached is a summary. As you can see, a lot of these costs were due to concrete additions, which were hard to determine until we did our soil analysis. Staff recommends that these additional $212,531 to be added to the original award.
Yes, sir.
The changes, Jim, on the concrete and what have you,
Yes, sir.
how long of a time frame did it occur that we realized or began to realize that there were going to be some increases?
They started occurring about 6 to 7 months after the award of the contract.
And that was first awarded when? Last summer?
Yes. So as we
So just maybe.
Any other question?
This is change order number 1, is that right?
Yes. I might add that the overall project is still well under budget. We're close to $1 million under budget. We've got a few additional costs upcoming.
Those would be difficult to bring as they occur each one because they're kind of a quantity issue.
What are the wishes of the board?
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCann. Item 9, consideration approval of insurance consultant professional services. Mr. Lucy Hernandez.
Chairman, members of the board, the request for proposal process for the insurance consultant's professional services was initiated with the advertisement of the invitation to submit proposals.
Really.
RFP was advertised in the Brownsville Herald on March 20th and March 27, 2005, and was sent to 37 insurance consulting firms. 2 firms submitted proposals for consideration, Wethy & Associates and Alamo Insurance Group. According to RFP P039-05, the criteria used in evaluation proposal, page 7, number 13, the firms must submit a statement stating they are independent from insurance companies to be considered. The proposal submitted by Alamo Insurance Group was non-responsive because the firm did not submit a statement stating they were an independent firm from insurance companies. The proposal evaluation team reviewed and evaluated one proposal that met all the specifications and recommends Wethy & Associates. Wethy & Associates are an independent risk management, insurance, and employee benefit consultants. Evaluation criteria was based on credentials and licenses, technical competence, experience, past performance, capability to provide services in a timely manner, knowledge of municipal utilities, level of understanding the scope of services, past experience, professional association membership, and price. The insurance consultant will be assisting PUB in the property and casualty insurance, actuarial consulting firm, group health, basic life, basic long-term disability, and voluntary employee benefits insurance request for proposal process. PUB staff recommends approval of Wethy & Associates as PUB's insurance consultant professional services for an amount not to exceed $28,125, the PUB's option to renew for additional 2 years.
Lucy, question for you. That third paragraph there says evaluation criteria, and the last word is price. How do we know if we only had one?
We did submit we had the 2 proposals, and both of them did have price, but we had to just evaluate the one proposal that met the specifications.
Well, what was the price of the second proposal, just out of curiosity?
It was
I mean, why would we look at it at all if we were throwing it out?
what happened was when we went out for proposals, we included that as when we went out for proposals, part of the request for proposals includes price as one of the criteria. So when they were submitting, they knew what our criteria was going to be.
I guess my question is, are we getting the best consultant, and are we getting the best price? I know we've used Mr. Wethy for many, many years, and from time to time, it's probably wise to reevaluate and make sure that he's the proper guy.
That's why we went out for proposals.
But basically, we didn't get any.
Right. Basically, we got one. But the other
Did you
ones.
make any phone calls? Did you have a list of
Yes.
individuals or companies that could have bid? Did you find out why they didn't?
My understanding was, I got from the staff, was some did not want to submit because of the political atmosphere. That's what we got. And again, our hope was to get more.
How long has this gentleman had it?
Actually, I looked back in the history. The company that we used to use the most, in fact, from 1989 to 2000, we used Towers and Perrin, which is a large firm out of Austin. And what happened, and I believe in the year 2000, for our benefits insurance, we did use a company called Sweatman out of San Benito. We started using Wethy in 2001. In fact, in our previous request for proposal for group health, before the one in 2004, we actually used Towers and Perrin. So it's not like we've been using Wethy for a large number of years. The one that we usually used was actually Towers and Perrin.
Okay, so back to my original question.
On that one, the way Mr. Wethy did submit, there's actually 3 different projects, which is the request for proposals for the property and casualty, then you have the actual study, then you have the renewal for the group health and the benefits. The Alamo Insurance, what they did is submitted lump sums, and it was for the first year is $22,500. The second year is $22,500, and the third year is $25,000. The actual study will not be conducted every year. It's only we expect to conduct it this year only. So Wethy would be competitive because you would take out the I believe $5,000 plus that he's proposing for the actuarial study, because that is not going to be conducted every year. It's just this year.
So they were proposing 22.5, 22.5, and 25?
Right.
And what was Wethy proposing?
Wethy proposed
28 across the board?
28, right. But then again, we're going to, that 5,000 that he proposes for the actuarial study will not be the second or third year, because we will not be doing it again. And what we're,
So does that bring him down to 23 and 28?
Right.
Is that what it is?
right. Now, what we're requesting from the consultant to assist us in going out for proposals and getting the actuarial study basically done. Yes.
Madam, aside from the fee that he'll be getting from us, is there any backdoor dividends to him in any way indirectly, that if he saves money somewhere else, he gets a cut of it or something
No,
like
that's
that?
why we do.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, that's why we require them to be independent from any insurance companies. They receive no compensation from insurance companies.
Nowhere,
No.
no pharmaceutical company or any
No.
insurance company?
It is licensed.
That is why the request for the statement that they're not representing anyone or have any affiliation with any other group.
Okay, so, but in essence, we're going to pay a little bit more for the assurance of that independence. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right,
For the first year.
for the first year. If you look at, it's page two of his proposal, he does tell us the number of hours, and you have the property and casualty insurance, RFP, that's $14,375. The actuarial consultant firm RFP is $5,250, and the employee benefits insurance renewals is at $8,500. Again, the second one will only be done this year, it will not be done again the next 2 years after that. Also, the way it works, the way the contract works, if he works less than those hours, we do not get charged for those hours. And if he works more than the hours, he's maxed at that amount.
So now, he's had this contract, this will be the,
Third, fourth?
Well, the way we usually do the consulting is we used to just go out, whenever we go out for proposals, that's when we need the assistance.
That's when you hire a
And when we renew, we just go ahead and do it internally. But keeping in mind what's going on with the group health, that's why I went ahead and included the employee benefits insurance renewals, because again, the costs are increasing so much that we do need the assistance. And we spend about $5 million in insurance with the property, the casualty, the liability, and the health insurance. So if these insurances increase at least 1%, you're talking about $50,000. So when we have used the consultants in the past, they've come in with 50% increases, when their proposals, and with using the consultant, we've been able to reduce those costs, and in some cases actually left them at what they were. So I believe it's a good investment to get the consultant to assist us in renewing those insurances.
thank you.
Make the motion to accept staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, consideration and approval of the City of Brownsville Water Conservation Drought Contingency Plan. Ms. Hernandez.
The City of Brownsville Water Conservation Plan and Drought Contingency Plan, the Emergency Water Conservation Plan, has been revised and updated pursuant to the provisions of the Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 288, Water Conservation Plans, Guidelines, and Requirements. This water conservation plan contains conservation goals and the specific strategies for attaining these goals that will improve water use efficiency and reduce long-term water demands. Water conservation goals are presented in Section 2 of this report. Water conservation elements are presented in Section 3 of the report. The Drought Contingency Plan, which implements strategies to reduce water demands during water emergency conditions, is presented in Section 4, supporting Brownsville PUB's utility profile data. The current water and wastewater rate ordinance and the emergency water conservation ordinance are contained in the appendices. PUB will submit the updated Water Conservation Plan and Drought Contingency Plan to the TCEQ and the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council upon approval by the Brownsville PUB Board of Directors. The Brownsville PUB staff recommends approval of the Brownsville Water Conservation Drought Contingency Plan and Resolution. And I will say, this is actually our first water supply plan was conducted in 1984. In 1999, we were required to update our water conservation plan again in the year 2000. In 2000, we did use a consultant to help us update the plan, and this time around, it was done internally by Maribel Hinojosa and myself.
John, anyone here give us an update on our situation with reservoirs?
We're over 100, we're over 100% still.
102%.
102, 101, 101, okay. In
Being
good
said.
shape.
Also in the plan, one of the proposals is to create a working group. There will be representatives from, again, our Water Conservation Department, from Water Operations, Engineering, Finance, and Customer Service, which is billing, again, to work on the different recommendations or commitments that we have made to the state.
Also move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Item 11, consideration and possible action on employee recognition program. Mr. Bridger.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this was an item that Mr. Amata and Chris requested we look at, and I put it on here. I think it kind of at the direction of the board. Do you want us to look at that or have comments? There were some concerns about the,
If I may, and it's up to the board, they could keep the existing policy. I think the way the policy is, it's excessive in the use of funds that could be put to better use. I understand the employees haven't had a cost of living raise in the past 2 years. I'd rather see more money go in that direction than spend over here. Looking at the check register, it just looks bad. And I don't think other companies are doing what we're doing. I would like to see a group of employees, a very small group of employees, get together with management and come up with a new policy that's acceptable to them, acceptable to management, and acceptable to this board to adopt. Keeping in mind that, yes, we want to provide the incentives for employees, but at the same time, not abuse or waste monies that could be better use, like cost of living raises. I like to see that done for employees.
Mr.
So I like
Amata,
to form a committee of that type.
Mr. Amata, can you share with us, have you been able to quantify on an annual basis how much money is being spent on this?
Well, I started looking at it. I don't have my notes here because I didn't have time to go by the house.
But it's abusive.
Ringville. But basically, it's not so much what I think. I think it should be a collective effort with employees and management to come up with one policy, one standard that will eliminate perhaps some of this. And, like I said, the incentive being to pass on some of this stuff to the employees in the form of paycheck.
John, can you tell us a little bit about the origin of this?
yeah, and I'll maybe ask Armentina if she's prepared tonight maybe to just give a little history on the plan and what we spend in the program, and then, you know, maybe where we want to look at.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members. We prepared a fact sheet for you regarding the PUB Employee Recognition Plan. The plan is administered by the recognition team. We have some of the members here. Julian, would you stand up? Judy? Who else is here from recognition team? Eli? So what I want to do is just go over the fact sheet with you. The approved budget for 2005 was $43,000. The program has been in existence since 1998. The employee recognition is actually a part of the PUB strategic plan, and it lists employee recognition as one of the core values of this company. The board actually did approve the revised version of the employee recognition program last year. In fact, it was May the 10th of 2004. And one of the points that I would make regarding recognition in general, it is a standard, a national standard, a recommended standard that companies use 3% of their payroll as part of their budget for recognition. So for our budget, $12,683,000, 3% of that would be approximately $380,000 per year, which is not anywhere close to what we use per year. Our budget this year was only $43,000. This is just a standard that's used across the nation.
May I ask, but you're talking about private companies here that you're going by, or is this public companies?
It's just in general, a national
General.
standard. It does not specify whether
National
it's
standard.
public or private. I want to point out some of the benefits of the employee recognition program. It does improve employee retention. It increases productivity. We think that it heightens the return on investment. It improves attitudes exhibited by improved work behaviors. It increases levels of commitment by the staff. It fosters an open communication of appreciation, improves employee satisfaction, and encourages innovative ideas. We also listed some of the comparisons of other local programs, including the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Navigation District. They do also have an Employee of the Month and an Employee of the Year program.
Where do they spend, do you know?
The
The city and Port Brownsville?
Okay, the City of Brownsville is on page 2. Their program has been in existence about 4 years. They spend $15,000, but they also get a lot of in-kind contributions as far as what they give away. They give away airline tickets from Continental, which they get in kind. They also use the event center for their functions, which is no cost to them. They also use electricity, which is also no cost to them. They also publish all of their awards in their own publication, which is called City Hall, so that really doesn't cost them any additional.
Argentina, back in 1998, did you tell us who was involved in developing this plan?
I didn't tell you, but actually, John and a group of employees, I think you had Carol, Michael, and...
I remember Carol, right?
that's
But we
when-
had a cross-section of our workforce involved in developing this plan.
John, I don't have the history in that, so you might want to...
You did, in 98, when the plan was first proposed, it was headed by our top quality management specialist, but it did include a cross-section of employees that made the recommendation to the general manager, who then presented it to the board for action. Subsequent, all the changes that have occurred have also included employee involvement. In fact, the most recent form, and even today, there is a recognition team that will meet quarterly with the general manager to review it, to make changes, to recommend not only the recipients, but also whatever changes. So throughout the process, it has involved a cross-section of employees, and it isn't management, it isn't directors. It's typically the frontline personnel from each of the departments or mid-level managers who work, in this case with Argentina, even today on whatever recommendations they may propose to the general manager, and if they're accepted, then presented to the board for your consideration and action. So that is going on today, Mr. Amaya.
What does the Port of Brownsville do?
The Navigation District has an Employee of the Month program. They give the employee $100. And
What is their budget?
the Employee of the Year is $1,000. So actually, it's about $2,000 or $3,000.
A year. If I may point out, if I'm a director and I'm asked what I would like to have, well, yeah, give me a party every month if I can get away with it. I think 43,000 is excessive. I think. That's my opinion. If the board wants to keep the plan, it's okay with me. I mean, I'll go by the majority of the board. I just think that, I remember when we were here before, John, a lot of it, the employees did themselves. I remember, the company picnic and stuff like that, to where the employees brought in their food and they did their own stuff to motivate and stuff like that. And I'm not against them having something, but I would like to see, knowing that you're not getting a cost of living raise for the past 2 years, I'd like to see if we can cut back some of this, what I consider a raise. You could cut back some of the use of telephone, where I think it's abuse, a lot of it. We could cut back some of the car allowances to where I think we could pass some of that on to the employees. And as far as retention, well, I think, in my opinion, we've grown too much, so maybe we don't want to retain as much. I don't know. But I would like to see the board involved with management and a few employees to come up with a policy as to what, and compare other public entities. But because I think the comparison you're making is not a fair comparison when you're looking at the city and saying they're getting free electricity and they're getting the continental tickets and they're getting the convention center.
They also get a watch, don't they? It says watch.
Yes, they get a watch if they have been there 30 or 35 years, and they did.
What's the value of that watch? You know?
About $500.
You know, I think this is a well put together plan. I think we could spend some time trying to revise it, spend twice what our annual budget for it is. And nothing like being able to work for your hometown and its utility and occasionally be able to be recognized for it. Yeah, I think we'd do away with it, and I think that we would, when it came time to award raises, we would probably suffer from short-term memory, and we'd forget about that as well. I think we ought to leave this exactly
It's a good
the way it is.
program.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I just wanted to get my 2 cents in view of 43,000 versus the overall payroll budget, I think what the benefits that this employee recognition plan brings to the entire TV personnel outweigh the cost. If we were at the 3%, I would probably agree with Mr. Armada that that's an excessive fee, and I can see where 380,000 could have an impact on some payroll. 43,000 is not going to have any impact on the overall bottom dollar with regards to either expenses or the payroll, and I think it goes a long way to investing goodwill and recognition on our employees and thanking them for a job well done.
Yeah, I agree.
Any questions?
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else, John, on that?
What are the wishes of the board, I guess? Whatever.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, my name was on that thing, but I didn't request that to be on the agenda.
I would move that it be retained and continue with the same policy.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We have one nay. All in favor said aye. One opposed. Motion carries. Item 12, consideration and action on adopting guidelines for public participation during the Brownsville Public Utility Board meetings. Mr. Brusiak.
Mr. Chairman, this item, Chris Valdez had asked me to put on, because I know we have had members of the public want to come here and talk, and we don't have any really guidelines that, and we basically modeled these after the cities and Robert Rule of Order. And if we're going to do it, I guess we need to just adopt some guidelines, maybe look at these if you want to add something to them. Maybe when do we have the public comment? Do we want to have it at the end? Limit the amount of time of that public comment?
My take on the public comment, I don't know if Mr. Mother would agree or disagree, but when we had it at the beginning, literally we could spend the first anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes listening to public comment. When moving it to the rear of it, if the person was that interested in what he had to say or she had to say, then they'd stick around exactly just like the rest of us and wouldn't necessarily prolong the meeting any more than it had to. So I'm not in disagreement with the public comment, but I would strongly urge that it be at the end after we've already taken care of the business, and also allowing, sometimes I've also found where the people are there for a particular item, they may have something to say during that particular item, and they don't need to stick around, or they don't want to stick around. But I think that's my take on it. I'm not opposed to it. I just think it would be
And the reason
in
I
the
bring-
best interest to put it at the end.
And Mr. Chairman, the reason I asked John to put it on the board was because several people on the last board meeting, they thought it.
We just need some guidelines if we're going to do it.
And I think basically you're following the city.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think, Mr. Mayor, I think our board policies do not allow comments during the meeting. In other words, I don't think they allow for people to comment, like for instance, during the last issue, for people to get up and make comments on that issue.
Well, they don't, yeah, I mean, same thing at the city, there are only certain times where that's allowed, public hearings, things of that nature.
Right.
And then again, it just depends on the time.
I'd like to say something. I kind of enjoyed the public comments at the beginning. It's, you know, some of these people don't want to wait around here till the last minute. And my thoughts is give the general public a chance to speak up when they, you know, sign in properly. And, you know, the beginning of the meeting is fine with me. I know the city does it at the end, but just talking to people out there in the community, they kind of, you know, prefer it in the beginning, at the city and at the PUV.
Chairman, this is a public entity, and because it is a public entity, we're doing the people's business. I think it's important to hear from them. Now, I like to hear from them up front, because they may have something to say that would help me in my decision-making throughout the meeting, perhaps on an item that's going to come up later on. But that's my
One thing, one thing I was just going to mention, we do have public, citizens advisory panel that a lot of public do attend that and provide comments to the PubCap members, but.
Well, since I've been on the board, I've never gotten anything, any kind of comment from the citizens that have been related to PubCap to the board.
Yeah, they normally deal with the concerns there and hopefully get them resolved through staff, so they never get to this level.
But some people like especially, and the only reason, like I say, it's up to the board, but the only reason I asked you to put it on so we can discuss it, because some citizens did mention it, and I told them I would, and I have.
Is Ms. Consino here?
No.
She's involved with that, isn't she?
Right.
Anybody else from that?
Chris, one question for you.
PubCap.
Yeah, go ahead,
Casino
Lucy.
Civil Casino is in our department, and we oversee the PubCap. And again, customers do come to PubCap to voice their concerns, and then PubCap gives the staff instructions to take care of whatever concern the customers may have, and we make sure that the next meeting there's a follow-up on whatever concern the customer has. And they go, again, the directions do attend the meetings, and their questions are answered. And that, again, was started in the mid-1980s, again, to respond to our customers' concerns.
So the customer does come and air out their problem.
If it's a billing issue or has any type of issue with service or any issue that they have.
We normally, if we know ahead of time, we'll have our directors at those meetings and try to, and if not, we address it. And then, like I say, sometimes they'll come back a second time.
And there's always a follow-up. Civil makes sure that there's a follow-up, and then sometimes the issues again at the next meeting, so the whole PubCap knows, how it was resolved for the customer.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a problem with the guidelines here, except for, I'd like the public comments to be at the beginning, and instead of 3 minutes, give them a chance, let them talk up to 5 minutes. I know you guys got this from the Robert Rules of Order, but we always try and lean on the Robert's Rules of Orders, and we haven't, followed them fully in the past. So,
Mayor,
that's
at
just my
City Hall,
comments
you
right
have 3
there.
minutes or 5 minutes? 3 minutes. I think it's a great idea.
Well, and it depends, but usually people are able to get what they need to say in 3 minutes. Again, we don't respond, we're not there, it's not action, it's basically to hear the concerns or comments.
We're not going to use a hook to get them out of the way.
Chris, I think it's an excellent idea, and I think we ought to mirror the city's policy on this. 3 minutes and on the back end. The question I was going to ask you a moment ago, the individuals that wanted to speak at the last meeting, would they have, the vast majority of them were still here at the end of the meeting.
I don't even remember. They might have been.
And we're here at the end of the meeting, and we're certainly here to hear whatever they have to say.
Mr. Chairman, again, I'll reiterate that this is the public's business, and PubCap serves a purpose, but we deal here with issues that are unknown from week to week what they're going to be. If something comes up that may be very important to somebody that's being affected. And no, we cannot get in a dialogue with him, but he wants to express his concern or whatever idea or thinking, which could serve a purpose to educate us on the issue as we are preparing to deal with the issue later on during the meeting. So I think it's critical to hear up front myself, but whatever the board decides.
Well, it's the public's business regardless of when we hear it.
Can I make a motion to make the public comment at the beginning? On this particular item, I make the motion to make the comments at the beginning and have them last from anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. That's my motion.
They must sign in, though. I think they must sign in.
Yeah, that's okay, that's all right.
Next suggestion, if you put it at the front, which it doesn't matter, maybe put a public comment period time limit for up to maybe 30 minutes or
15 minutes.
well, I mean, for the whole, because if you had 50 people here on the same issue, you could be here
Yeah, that's a
2-3
good idea.
hours.
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
That's a good idea, but I think the motion should be made based on what John suggested too, to have no
Well,
time limit.
Yeah,
Look.
that way.
Mr. Sanchez made the motion, the way he wanted it. You want to change your motion?
No, I think that's okay.
You don't want to add a time limit,
The time limit?
30 minutes,
like
Okay, well,
15 minutes?
up to 30 minutes, no more than 30 minutes for public comments, and people must sign in.
Let me add that on, Chairman.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Sign in,
Hold on, can we
the
be clear on exactly what the motion is?
the motion that he made was that.
In the beginning?
The PUB adopt a policy of public comment not to exceed 30 minutes, with the public being allowed to speak from anywhere from three, not to exceed 5 minutes. And the total time be limited to 30 minutes for public comment, and the people sign up. The only thing we don't have in the motion is the 15 minutes that's in the proposal. Is that good enough for you, that sign up 15 minutes before the meeting?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay, so that would be part of his motion, is that right? And you second it?
I second.
So the motion is that they have to sign up 15 minutes before, that we will have a time period not to exceed 30 minutes, and that people will have an opportunity to speak not to exceed 5 minutes.
That's the motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
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 And I'm voting against it only because of the location, the time in the meeting.
Yeah, I agree. Same reason.
It's a 3-3 tie. All right.
You can make a motion if you want and change it to the
Well,
end if you
Well, anybody
want.
can.
I'd like to make a motion out, the same thing, but at the end.
Okay, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
4-2. Motion carries. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda items. Anyone want to discuss anything or give me a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, but if nobody has a comment, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Any other business? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.